This is the morning Muse for the 23rd of October. Under normal conditions, it would be a Yom Kippur Katan, because Rosh Hodesh of Cheshvan starts tonight. But there's no Yom Kippur Katan for Cheshvan. One of the reasons is there's no fasting between Shemini Atzeres and Cheshvan, these last days of Tishri. There's no fasting in these last days of Tishri, like 12 days from, or 8 days, wherever, from Shemini Atzeres to Rosh Hodesh, Cheshvan. These are spectacular days. And so part of my morning muse comes into that. As you've noticed, I haven't given a morning muse in a long time. Maybe it's because of this underlying concept of today. Even though there's no outward observance, it's still the day before the Yom Kippur, before the next month, and the relationships of the previous month to the next month. It's a very deep thing, and maybe why I'm driven to give a morning muse today. One of those continuums of that is that, as you know, I believe everything has two-ness involved. The obvious thing of that is the two hands of the blessing of the priests, the Kohanim. If there was only supposed to be a right hand, then the Kohanim would bless with one. But the Kohanim bless with two hands. Yes, it's true that the right hand is slightly elevated over the left. And quite frankly, that's the way it should be, because nothing is completely equal, but one thing should be dominant over the other. And to get a dominance over another, you have to have two. And quite frankly, there's a split in the two. And even in the one, there's a split in the one, as shown, by the way, in the Kohanim when they split the fingers. See? So even though there's one here, there's a split in the fingers to show the two sides. And remember, this hand is a Yud Hey and a Vav Hey. And there's a split between the Yud Hey and the Vav Hey. And that's part of the two world aspects of the world to come in the Yud Hey and this world in the Vav Hey. And so all of these things mesh into one. One of the things that I'm concerned with this year, because I'm studying the Masechta Ketuvos, and the whole idea of the two-phased marriage of a Kedushin or an Erusin and Nesuin, and the relationships and the juxtapositions between these two. An understanding of this fundamental of marriage of the soul to the body is actually, in my opinion, an Ika or a Makor of the entire Jewish opus. And if one understands the conception, strange word, of marriage here, it's a fundamental essence of Judaism itself, because the ultimate marriage is between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jewish people. So an understanding of this is again a very important thing, especially on Yom Kippur, Katan, not today, but in general, because another ultimate type of revelation comes on Yom Kippur, Yom HaKippurim in general. In general, with the Ha-Kippurim, 5 covers, and the Yom as a 1. It's the 1 and the 5, the Aleph and the Hey, which is the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu as Aleph, and Hey, the feminine concept of the Jewish people themselves. So that's why today, it's my morning muse here, this concept of two-ness as necessary to unity, and even within the two-ness there's two, because the two-ness always has a masculine and feminine, so it's a yud and a hey, and one eventually finds even within the yud the combination of masculine and feminine, because the yud is the masculine, and then the vav, dalet, spelling, there's a hipuk, and the vav goes with the dalet and becomes a hey. So even in the fullness of the yud, there's a feminine component. Reminds me of the phrase, 2 which are 4 within and 2 which are 4 without. And the concept of 2 which are 4 as a general principle. So there's a lot to this. And that's why, let me just check some things here, which I'm saying, another thing that I hadn't had, and which is important today, because hipuk, a Yom Kippurim is a hipuk, same words, it's an opposite. And when there's a turnaround, when there's a hipuk, the keta becomes the malchus in an upside down Eitz Hayim, and the feet which touch the ground becomes the keta, and so it becomes a keta malchus. A perfect example of this, and one can train themselves in the mundane world this way, is to do a headstand or a shoulder stand in yoga. When one does this, one reverses the position and recognizes that the feet and the energy of the feet is a Keter Malchus, not much different than the raising of the hands above the head for how the Kohanim blessed the people in temple times, not now on the shoulders or maybe even the seats, but above the head in temple times, because there was a palm, energies in the palm. This center palm is what radiated, it's not the fingers only. So the 5 fingers, or really 4 plus a thumb, of the 2 hands, see? These are the energies of the Kohanim, but in a hipuch, these energies come out of the soles of the feet. See? And please remember this when you're walking on the ground, because remember the Kohanim go barefoot. When you're walking on the ground, you're receiving energies up through the palms of the feet, the soles of the feet. Regal is the gematria of regal. Regalim is 200 and well, let's do regal first. Regal is 233. That's the equivalent of 232, which are the four spellings of the Yud K Vav K plus 1. Regalim is 283 plus the 5 letters, that's 288. Those are the 288 sparks, which is also 4 times 72. These are very deep issues. Remember when it says, learn the Torah on Regel Echad? So the feet contain these energies that are above the head, when upside down in the shoulder stand or headstand. And they receive energies and give energies in the same sense of the brachas Kohanim. Because the feet parallel the hands, which they obviously do in yoga and what's it called? Massage therapy of the feet. Energetic therapies. Reflexology is the word. So these words, these energies of the feet, and because there's obviously a parallel between the feet, the 10 fingers and the tongue, and the 10 toes and the bris, is obviously a parallel, as brought down in Sefer Yetzirah. And also these 11 and 11 are the 22 letters of the alphabet, which is again brought down in the Al-Bam and the Atbash, splitting the alphabet into 2 sides. So today is an interesting hipuk, which is the letters of Kippur, HaKippurim, and how the upside down is the right side up. And one has to find that. So I ask you for yoga to do the shoulder stand or headstand, and to have the meditation, the proper meditation. They call that the candle when you do the shoulder stand, and you're a candle, light, a guiding light, beaming light like a Shabbos candle. And so that's the morning muse. Obviously could be extended, but if I extend it anymore, I'll be in the afternoon.